Alright, welcome to part 1 of building Ember CRM. I'm going to go over the project structure first. Got your pretty standard stuff. CSS folder for my custom style sheet, which I've already done, so I shouldn't be touching that throughout the videos, but I have that there. Then images, I just have a background image. And then my JS file directory has two directories within it, app and libs. And I'm using the Canary versions of both Ember and Ember Data because I think I ran into a bug on the beta release of Ember Data with the belongs to relationship. But as soon as I went to the Canary branch, then everything worked out. So I went ahead and downloaded those, and I'm using Ember 1.4 beta 0.1 and Ember Data 1.0 beta 0.4. So I feel like that's one of the biggest frustrations right now with Ember Data is there's a lot of examples out there and Stack Overflow questions referencing JS fiddles, but the fiddles all reference Ember latest, and so a bunch of them are broken. So hopefully I'll ease some frustrations with that. And then I'm just going to be using this single HTML file for all of my templates, and within here I'm loading almost everything from CDN.js. So I have Bootstrap, Select2, my custom style sheet, jQuery handlebars, Bootstrap, Select2, Ember, Ember Data, and then my application JS code. And so all of that looks like this right now. Not too exciting, but I've also got a repo set up, and I'll be branching for each part. So I've already got set up to do part 1, so you can follow along here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is define some models, and we're going to be working with 3 models: companies, people, and tasks. So let's start with the first one being companies. DS model extend and then our company is going to be super simple and just have a name. And then it's also going to have people. And this is going to be a has many relationship. We're going to reference our person model, which we're going to create here in a second. And then since we're going to be loading all of the relational data asynchronously, we're going to pass in this. And basically that just means that the people are not going to be embedded in the JSON for the companies when querying the API for those. So let's define the person now. Model extend. And then our person's going to be a little bit more complex. It's going to have a first name, a last name, city, state, and email. And then we're going to have a dynamic full name property. And we're going to return this get first name. Got PHP on the mind. Last name. And then this relies on the first name and the last name. And then we're going to do the same thing for the location, combine the city and state. city, state, and then if we have a state and state is greater than 0, we're going to append that. And this relies on the city and state. Okay, and then now we also want to get the person's company that they belong to. So we'll do company, ds belongs to company, and then it is also going to be asynchronous. Alright, so we got our company and our people defined. So those look good, and now we're going to move on to our polymorphic relationship task. So app task equals ds model extend, nope, oh man, boo, ds model extend, there we go. And then it's just going to have a subject and its owning model, which is we're going to call taskable. And a taskable is either the company or the person that the task belongs to. So we'll go ds belongs to taskable, and this is a polymorphic relationship. Okay, and now naming is super important in Ember, and so you'll notice that the relationships are name sensitive. So the companies, whenever it's defining the relationship, we're using the person, which references this, which is just all under lowercase. So now that we've defined the task, we have this taskable model type, but we don't have a taskable defined. So we want to create a kind of base class called taskable to represent our companies and people. So we can do ds model extend, and then our taskable is going to have any tasks. Task. And then it is also going to be asynchronous. Okay. So now we have taskable, task, company, and persons, but our companies and person models aren't taskables yet. We need to make them extend this taskable class so that they can inherit this tasks attribute. So rather than inherit the base model, we'll inherit from taskable. There we go. So now we have our models defined. Let's go back here, refresh this, make sure we don't get any errors. We don't, so we're good. Now, let's define our routes. So in our router.js, let's open up the router. And we can define some of the endpoints that our application needs. So we'll first define a company's resource route, and with resources you can nest them. So that's what we're going to do to display a single company. And since a company needs a dynamic ID to find out which company it is, we're going to use this syntax to give it a dynamic segment. So, and then next we want a normal route for creating new companies. So this allows us to go to /companies. Since this is nested, this allows us to go to companies/to, and this allows us to go to companies/new. And then we want the same thing for people. Alright, we got all of our routes that we're going to be using defined. And now to kind of illustrate that in action, we need to go and update our index.template to kind of show that and link that up. You'll notice this scratch.html. I'm not going to include that in the repo. It's my index file from the working Ember app. And so that's what I'm going to be pulling my template code from. So I'm just going to grab some of this code and then push it in here. And we'll go over what's inside here. So we're using Bootstrap's navigation pill structure, which is just an unordered list with 2 list items. The list items contain links to our routes. I'm using the link to helper, which takes the route name as the first parameter. So we're going to link to the company's route, and we want to display companies, and then same thing for the people route. So if we save that, and then also we want an outlet so we can render more stuff depending on what the URL is into this outlet right here. So if we save that, go over here, refresh this, we now have companies and people, and if we click on companies, that gets highlighted, and if we click on people, that gets highlighted, and you'll notice the URL changes for each of those. And the styling, Ember adds a active CSS class on all link tos that are on the current route. So I've just styled those a little bit so you can see that. But that will wrap up the first part. I'll push this up and we'll get started on part 2 in the next video.